Hello lovers, welcome to the Butterfly Effect podcast hosted by myself, Lauren Amy. This is for those who are ready to take up space, who are living a soft life loudly and are ready to savor the sweetness in each moment. Here we're going to embrace transformation, the beauty of the in-between and the magic of becoming. So pull up a seat and listen in because life is delicious and it's about goddamn time we eat it up. Hello stunners, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. I am your host, Lauren Amy. I don't think I've ever said that before. Did that sound really professional? I hope that sounded really professional to you guys because I'm a professional podcast host. At least that's what I'm now going to refer to myself as. Actually, on that note, hang on, we're going to dive into things and I'm going to go on a tangent before I've even introduced the episode. Right, Lauren, let's compartmentalize. Let's focus, let's lock in at the task at hand. Let's mention that later on. Anyway, my loves, how are we doing? How are we feeling? Another Wellness Wednesday has rolled around. We are officially in December and not gonna lie, I'm feeling the little tingle, the little sparkle, the little tickle of the festive magic. It's like I feel like it's slowly seeping into my bones, or it's like a little whisper from my soul being like, you know you want to get excited about this. You know you want to enjoy this festive season. Actually, I was saying in class over the weekend, I feel like the more you resist it, the more you feel that kind of, the harder everything is, right? The more you resist it, the more frustrated you're going to get. And I feel like when you just actually surrender to it and think like, okay, cool, it's December. This is where we're at now. It's the festive season. Let's fucking go. And I think in that moment, in that switch, it's like, all right, cool. Let's fucking go. So it is December. I'm recording this literally on the 1st of December and I just love it how it's fallen on a Monday. And I've had a fantastic start to my day. I'm ahead of schedule and I just feel on top of the world. And I'm here to deliver that similar magic to you. So whether you're feeling festive or funky, let's softly surrender to that little pull, that little tickle as best as we can, because whether we want it or not, Christmas is here. The festivities are here. And whatever you want to make out of this season, whatever you want it to be, you can make it exactly that. But the more you resist it, the more frustrated you're going to get. So let's get festive and fabulous, honeys. Let's start enjoying ourselves. I've not put my tree up yet. It was my intention to maybe put it up this weekend, but I'm definitely going to put it up before this coming weekend because my girlies are coming round and I thought it'd be really cute to make the place all cute for them when they come to stay. I actually don't know where they're going to stay. I think there's just going to be a case of bodies on the floor, which is lovely. So over the next few weeks, honeys, I'm going to bring you some advice, some insight, some food for thought, not only as we navigate this festive season, but also as we approach 2026, right? And with 2026 is going to bring season 3 of this podcast because I will be letting it have a little rest, letting myself have a little rest over Christmas and New Year. And I'm not gonna lie guys, I feel like when I wrap the final episode of season 2, I'm gonna feel so fucking proud of myself. I started this podcast on my own this year and I kept going and I'm going to continue it in 2026. We're going to bring it back for season 3 and I'm excited. I hope you're excited. I've already got a first guest lined up. Oh my god, it's all happening. Okay, so yes, just going to bring you some little tidbits of insight for this time of year because I know, like I feel it in myself, we approach this time of year and it's like, okay, right, who am I going to be in 2026? What do I want to action in 26? What goals am I setting? How am I going to show up, you know? And we see New Year as this deadline when it absolutely does not need to be, right? And we think we've got to get everything done, or we think about what we wanted to achieve in 2025 and maybe there's a few things we didn't get to or maybe got pushed to one side, other things took over, right? So there's either this rush to then action all of these goals and try and get them done before the end of the year. So I don't know, we don't feel like we've failed or something, but Again, it's not a deadline. Those things that you perhaps haven't yet achieved in 2025, you can decide whether to lovingly release them for now or whether you want to continue working towards them in 2026, you know? Again, it's not a deadline. You are not a project, you're a person. Okay? And I think the way in which I'm approaching this new year, because I myself am feeling that pull to again think about who it is that I want to be in 2026. And as I've been thinking about this, I was like, hang on, since when do I have to wait to start showing up as that person, right? I want to start showing up as my future self now. And the way in which I've approached this recently, literally in the past week or so, is that I've clocked that my vibrational setting has been somewhat low and I've been wanting to raise my vibration again. I sensed this literally even before last week's episode. I might even mention it in last week's episode, but I knew I wanted to speak about this. I knew I wanted to talk about raising our vibration. Again, because I think if, like me, you've been struggling with the seasonal shifts, the shorter days, maybe it almost feels like with the shorter days, we're kind of running on limited time. It's like we've got limited time to get things done, maybe, okay? And with that, there's been a lot of like self-criticism. There's been, again, this kind of low mindset. And actually, let's talk about what it means to have this low vibration, right? Perhaps it's a term you've not heard of before, but don't worry, I'm going to introduce it to you now. I'm going to explain it to you now. So when we talk about our vibrational state, okay, it's like a metaphor for our energetical state, right? It's what our energy is oscillating at. Everything is energy, right? I know when we sometimes talk about the energy in the room or a person's energy, sometimes it can feel really spiritual and woo-woo, but everything literally is energy. That is fact. So when we talk about our inner energetical state, we're talking about the frequency you're operating from, okay? And when we have like this low frequency, this low vibration, it's often when we feel like heavy or disconnected, or perhaps we just feel like we're in survival mode, okay? But whereas when you have high vibration, that's when everything feels really open and expansive and expressive and everything flows with ease, right? And when we talk about raising our vibration, it's literally shifting this internal state from something that feels heavy and blocked to something that supports this clarity, this joy, this expansion, okay? But also it's not about like simply bypassing any kind of hard emotions or honoring that we might be feeling, again, a little bit down. We all have those moments, okay? It's just how we move through those moments in a way that actually just brings you back to your center. Okay, so here are some examples of what you might be experiencing if you are operating from this low vibrational state, okay? So obviously anxiety is up there, okay? Maybe there's shame, maybe there's guilt, maybe there's jealousy, resentment, or this sense of hopelessness, this fear, this worry, feeling disconnected, overwhelm, stagnation, or perhaps avoidance. You know, if you're feeling that like low motivation, then you're kind of actively avoiding tasks that you know are going to perhaps benefit you towards your end goal, maybe. And then the last one I want to reference here is this kind of victim mindset. Now, this is really interesting, and I think I might actually have to dedicate a whole episode to the victim mindset and how we can shift ourselves out of it, because one of the reasons I realized I was operating from this low vibrational state, because I realized I was giving into this victim mindset, and that was not serving me or anyone else. But of course, if you have been experiencing one of these emotions, okay, they aren't bad, all right? I don't want you to feel bad for feeling this way, okay? They are simply signals. They are signals that you can recognize, that you can come to understand, and then slowly again move through. And perhaps these signals are pointing to like unmet needs, or perhaps boundaries have been broken, you know? Maybe it's a sign of exhaustion or misalignment, you know? Again, they're just signals. And actually, one of the best things you can do for yourself is actually listen to these signals, right? Okay. And then examples that you're operating from this high vibrational state is literally everything that we all want to be feeling, right? It's this sense of peace, this calm, this trust, maybe even love, gratitude, joy. Maybe there's playfulness, maybe we're being more curious, maybe we're being more creative. These pathways are feeling more expansive, more open to let creativity flow maybe. Or perhaps inspiration flows to you with a bit more ease. Maybe you're able to show more compassion towards others, compassion towards yourself, trusting others, trusting yourself. Maybe you feel like you're able to be present in the moment more. Again, we're not distracted by so much noise, so much worry. We're able to just be. And in that, maybe we feel like we can appreciate the small moments. We feel grounded, we feel connected. All these lovely things that we all want to feel 24/7. That it is when you are operating at a high vibrational state. And of course, it doesn't have to be all of these things. You might feel some of them in some moments and others, you know. But literally, even shifting. So say if you have been feeling, you know, kind of stressed or anxious, right? Even like just slightly shifting from that into just an awareness of it, that is already raising your vibration. Doesn't mean you have to fix things, doesn't have to mean that you're solving things. Even being aware that you're perhaps operating from that low vibrational state is already raising it, okay? So I obviously recognized that I was feeling a few of these things, right? I recognized that I was feeling anxious. I'd succumbed to that victim mindset, and I was feeling just a little bit of jealousy and very self-critical. Yeah, I was feeling a great deal of those emotions that I've just listed, right? Okay. And again, in that awareness, I was already feeling like little glimmers, little moments where I'd kind of lift myself up and out of it, okay? But I think what's been the real shift is literally this past weekend, okay, when I was just really like open and honest. I literally said to my friend, I was like, I am operating from low vibrational energy right now. And I think in that acknowledgement, not only within myself, but to others around me, it was almost the catalyst to then be like, okay, cool. We're going to change this now. We're going to shift this now. And it wasn't like an overnight thing. In some ways, it did kind of feel like it, but I think I'd already planted seeds. I'd already set small shifts in motion. And then that final acknowledgement to another just elevated that process or sped up the process, right? So a few things that happened this weekend, again, just to give like examples, like real life examples, because sometimes I feel like in these self-help podcasts, in these self-development podcasts, they give really like vague examples. I just want to give you like real life examples that happened in the moment and that happened very, very recently, because that again is the only way I can really deliver this podcast from, right? I don't record these podcasts loads in advance. I record them in the moment with whatever I'm feeling in the moment, whatever I have recently moved through. That is what I deliver through this podcast in a bid to, again, keep that sense of authenticity with it. To, again, remind you that as you're listening to this, you're listening to a real human talking through real problems. I suppose remind you that you're not alone in this process, okay? And I don't want to deliver this podcast from this all high and mighty place. I listened to some really good podcasts this morning. I really enjoyed it, but sometimes it does come from this high and mighty place. And I don't want this to be one of them, okay? I'm in the trenches with you, okay? I'm figuring this shit out with you. I'm doing my best with you, okay? So, this weekend, I was in pure chaos. Even before the weekend, right? So I knew I was getting my carpets fitted, okay? Very exciting. My carpets were in a dire state and they were in desperate need, okay? But obviously, when you're having new carpets fitted, you have to clear everything. It's not like they can work around your furniture. You've got to clear everything out of the space. And I am in a small flat. I love my flat, but she's small. She's perfect for me. And I had to cram my entire life into my spare bedroom. My good friend Danny helped me out with it, and my goodness, that was hella exposing. You know, when you like pull a cabinet out that's probably not moved since the day you moved in, and you just see all the clutter, the dust that's just built up behind these cabinets. And it was a real peeling back of layers. It was a real exposure to the shit that I have just buried, not just in my flat, but within myself, okay? And I know, again, this might seem like a weird tangent or a weird linking here, but to me it just makes so much sense, okay? Even in like moving out my sofa, I was very suspicious that there was something of my ex's underneath this sofa, but I refused to just look at it. I was just like, you know what, that's going to be moved when I'm forced to move it, okay? Because I just couldn't be asked for this. Under my sofa, I can't see it. It doesn't matter. Obviously, in moving all this furniture, all this stuff came to the surface, okay? And I had to literally sit in that chaos for a couple of days, okay? I'm very grateful for Danny helping me out, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to move all this furniture myself. And they'd asked for me to clear the space before their arrival, and I'm like, I am one tiny human. I'm just a girl. Help me out. But anyway, Danny helped me out. We cleared everything, put everything in my spare room, and then this was a couple of days prior to them coming to refit the carpet, so I had no choice but to live in the chaos and live in the mistakes and the things that I have buried, the things that I have hidden. I had no choice but to see them all clear as day. And I'm laughing at this now, so you can obviously tell like things worked out for the best, right? And then obviously skip to a couple days, the guys come around, they fit my new carpets, lovely, that new carpet smell, beautiful. I could not wait. I literally had to also beg these two men as well. I was like, please help me put the furniture back, or at least help me bring it back into the room, because I can't have it in this chaotic state for another day or two until someone else can help me out. Please, please, please. And they did. Thank you very much. Thank you, kind gentlemen. And literally, I could not wait to get my life back on track and to put things back in place. But as I'm putting things back in place, clearing out the shit that I no longer want there, removing that item out from underneath the sofa. And actually, yeah, there was a weird thing with that item. I'm gonna come back to that in a second. But I just did the greatest purge of my life. I literally went through every single cupboard, every single drawer, unpacked it all, rearranged it all, and decided, what am I gonna keep? What am I gonna throw away? You know, we all have that man drawer, right? I call it the man drawer, but it could also be the woman's drawer or the they them drawer. But everyone has that drawer where it's just like, it's filled with shit, you know? Maybe there's like random elastic bands in there. There's like screws in there. Maybe there's picture hooks in there. There's all these manuals for all these various like appliances in there. Everyone has that drawer. And also everyone has like a cabinet or a drawer where it's just full to the brim of tangled cables, okay? If you do not have this, again, I'm exposing myself because I have that. Literally pulling all these things out. Why on earth did I have so many HDMI cables? Why on earth did I have so many cables that I did not even know what they were for? Again, like just completely rearranging the mess and putting things in a box that needed to go out to the tip, and just getting rid. Literally just getting rid. And I've been doing little bits of this over time. Like I've been in a bit of a Vinted flow. Fucking love Vinted, okay? We all love Vinted, I'm sure, right? But that's like slow over time. This was just bam, get rid. I could not wait. I was practically skipping to the tip. Skip to the tip. Love. And I got rid of so much stuff, and I'm literally sat in my living room now with my fresh carpets. Oh, they're delightful. The space looks bigger. It feels fresher. It feels more expansive. I'm so happy sat here. Oh, and that item that was underneath the sofa is probably quite a sentimental item, not necessarily to me, but possibly for my ex, right? But obviously they have not mentioned it at all. They have not reached out to come claim it, come get it, So, and it's not my responsibility, okay? It's not my responsibility to hold on to this item for them, okay? So letting it go with love. Now I could have done like a couple things with this particular item. I could have literally like done the best, like, baseball, when they properly like wind it up to throw the baseball at the batter, right? I could have done my best attempt at that throw into the skip, right? Or I could have done like, a little moment to just wave it goodbye, soft and steady, okay? But when I got to the tip, I didn't really have a choice. A guy took it from me and I was like, all right. Like the guy just reached his hand into the box, grabbed this item and it was gone. That was it. And I walked back to my car being like, huh. And then I had a weird like feeling of emotions being like, am I meant to feel bad that item has just been taken now? I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one. But as I say, it's not my responsibility anymore. It's not my responsibility to hold on to that item, to that thing, okay? And then I just continued skipping and got myself a lovely little sweet treat. And then got home to like this, it feels like a new apartment. I'm not gonna lie, honeys. It just feels, it feels lovely. So that in itself caused a real shift in frequency. And I think when you're raising your vibration, you're starting to raise your vibration, or you're wondering how to raise your vibration, starting at your home, starting at your very base, that place that you retreat to time and time again, if that's not energetically aligned in ways that you didn't quite expect, then doing the work to heal maybe these, energetical misalignments or energetical leaks, is a surefire way to help raise that vibration of yours. But I'd also like to add, whilst I'm doing this purging, whilst I'm doing like a complete resorting of my apartment, I was listening to this particular playlist, and you guys know I'm so musically motivated. I'm a big fan of music. Anything that just picks my energy up, makes me feel something, makes me want to move, is a winner in my books. I have such a varied music taste. I don't know what I was searching for, but I came across this playlist on Spotify. I did share it to my Instagram story, and I'm going to share what it's called on here. It's a slightly unhinged name. As I say, I don't know what I was searching for when I came across this, but this playlist, oh my God, I think it's called Slutty Songs for Hoes. And as I said in my Instagram story, she is putting the hoe in homebody. Oh my God. Like, I'm shaking my little tush. I'm having a little shimmy and shake whilst I'm rearranging my life, putting things back in order, back in place, rearranging all these tangled cables and making them into something that makes a bit more sense. And oh my God, this playlist was such a vibe. This playlist carried me through, and it's an absolute vibe. So if you, like me, are very musically motivated, you need to check out this playlist. I might put it in the description. As I say, don't be put off by the name, or I don't know, maybe that enthralls you more. I don't know. But it's such a vibe. Enjoy. So again, that's like a little example of the reset I've had this weekend and the magic it has worked for me. I'm not saying that you need to completely like flip your house, your space upside down. But if you've got a reason to, like if you are having some decorating done, some refurbishment done, no matter how small or minor it might be, maybe, yes, seize the opportunity and actually look at your space, look at the things that you are holding on to, look at the things that don't energetically align with you anymore, the things that you are just storing when you don't need to, it's not your responsibility. Let that shit go. And as you do it, put on a banging playlist and shimmy and shake your little tush and just vibe out the entire time as you do it. That is your surefire remedy to raise your vibration, okay? But if these things don't align with you, as I say, if you feel like your home is aligned with you and really does feel like that cozy, safe space, I mean, mine did, but I don't know, I did have to look a little bit closer. I had to pull those cabinets out. I had to look beneath. I literally had to pull the rug right back and literally see what's underneath and yeah, really, really dive in. But of course, there's other ways you can raise your vibration, right? And I wouldn't be talking about this if I wasn't going to give you a whole list of options, ways in which you can raise this vibration of yours. Okay, so number one, obviously, is any kind of movement, all right? Because we're talking about vibration, we're talking about things in motion. So if you put yourself in motion, things are going to shift, okay? Things are going to change. Whether that's allowing yourself to just, I don't know, have a little boogie in your kitchen, all right? Or just sing in the car, or like whilst you're walking the dog, I don't know, skip occasionally. Something like that. That's just reminds you that there's joy to be found in moving your body. And again, it could, of course, be yoga. Obviously, I'm a bit biased there. Whatever it is, shift your body, shift your mindset, okay? And then perhaps if you're feeling maybe things to do more with anxiety, or there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distraction, take a moment, take a breath, okay? Clear out that clutter as best as you can. And just take a breath. There was a moment where I walked through into my living room when it was absolute chaos, and I literally just had to take a breath. And I was like, it's fine. It's going to be sorted in a couple of days. It's okay. You're safe. You're still safe here. This is still that safe sanctuary that you have created. It's just going through a little tune-up right now, okay? So take a moment, take a breath. That also then helps us to get more so into the present moment, okay? I was doing there were a lot of thoughts floating around my brain, thinking of like, again, January, the next month, and also kind of being stuck in the past, being like, but that worked really well that time. Why is it not really working well this time? You know, comparison, okay? Get into the here and now, like literally plant your feet into whatever space you are in, even if it's like shoddy carpets, okay? Plant your feet and just root in the here and now. And of course, as you're taking the time to ground, to be present, to take that breath, you can then be more aware, you're more receptive, you're more in tune to where your energy is perhaps leaked, or where boundaries have been breached, or where things, again, are no longer misaligned, or where you've been ignoring your own needs, okay? That's when you can actively change things if needed. You can actively take steps, okay? I think a lot of it is at first about that grounding, about aligning with the present moment, okay? Then noticing, witnessing, then taking this kind of conscious action to clear out the clutter, right? Whether that means physically in your space, emotionally, or within your own mind, or literally within your own like phone, okay? Your email inbox. Delete, unsubscribe from things that are just draining you, okay? If you're waking up each morning and you're seeing this email, or you're seeing someone post on social media and it makes you feel a certain way, with love, respectfully, delete, block, mute, remove, even if it's just temporary until you are in a better space. That is okay, all right? And then this next example that I'm going to offer is probably, again, we hear it time and time again, but it's such a powerful frequency, and that's gratitude. It's being grateful for what you do have around you. It's being grateful for the small things, celebrating the beauty in the small things. And I think the thing with gratitude, and even when you're trying to manifest, right, it's not this forced positivity. Again, we talk a lot about like toxic positivity, right? Again, it's still honoring that there's things that perhaps aren't great, but there's so many things that are. There's so many things that are so beautiful. There's so much, you know, contentment to be found. We're just focusing our energy, our efforts on the wrong things, and bringing it back to, again, what really matters. So yes, gratitude, whether that's through journaling, literally writing down a few things that you're grateful for today. And actually, there was a thought that landed in my brain, again, whilst I was thinking about raising my vibration. One of the things that I started doing was that each day when I woke up, I just thought to myself, what am I excited for about today? What's gonna lift me up today? What am I excited to do today? Who am I excited to see today? What am I excited for today, no matter how small it might be, even if it means that I'm really excited to have my morning cup of tea. Lovely, you know? Think each morning, what is it that you're excited for? And then just seize the day as best as you can. Seize the moment as best as you can. Another thing I suggest to raise that vibration of yours is doing something for you. Again, it's so easy to say, but it's a lot harder to put in practice. But again, even if it's just taking 5 minutes to journal before you go to bed, singing in your car, dancing in your kitchen, creating something, whether that's creating your next playlist that you're gonna sing along to, okay? Or perhaps just dressing in a way that feels, I don't know, that gives you that little sparkle of fun, you know? Because chances are when your vibrational energy is low, chances are you've stopped looking after yourself a little bit, okay? Reconnect to the things that are going to make you feel good, but also nourish you on that cellular level, or perhaps really soothe that nervous system of yours. Think about how much sleep you're getting, whether you are nourishing and fueling your body adequately, whether you are hydrating yourself enough, resting enough. Again, it comes back to these basics, these basic fundamentals, and actually checking in, like, have I actually looked after myself recently? Have I actually shown up for myself recently? And if the case that you haven't and you've let healthy habits slip, then again, okay, it's fine. The world isn't going to end, similar to what I said last week. It's fine. It's holding space for these little misconnections and thinking, okay, let's reconnect. What I will say with that as well, again, in this honouring of where things have felt misaligned and becoming more aware of perhaps being in a low vibrational state, when you approach it with this real gentleness and with this real care and honour that time for the shadow work to be done, I believe that that's going to raise your vibration long term. Okay, I think that's going to have more of a sustainable effect. Okay, so again, whilst you're reconnecting here, be gentle, be compassionate, and it's okay. Really, there's so many ways we can work towards raising our vibration, literally just reframing these thoughts that come in, you know. And again, that victim mindset, I think I am going to do another episode on this. Yes. Yeah, I think that's another important episode to do. And it's something that we all do. We all kind of fall into this victim mindset. We all have these moments where we're just like, oh, everything just feels really hard right now. Why are things always feeling really hard for me, you know? And perhaps it's just like a little example for that, right? Being single, okay? Sometimes being single feels really hard for a whole multitude of reasons, okay? And reframing that, yeah, okay, there's moments where being single is hard, but also what a fucking joy it is too, okay? So again, little reframes like that. When things feel hard, when things feel sticky, when things feel confusing or stagnant, what's the flip side of that? You know, and actually saying that to yourself and letting that echo, letting that reverberate within, rather than these heavy feelings of this, again, why is everything feeling so hard? Where is my motivation? Why am I not feeling inspired? You know, flip it around, you know, inspiration can come at any moment. And again, that is an amazing thing, you know. And I think the final thing I want to say about raising your vibration, and again, shifting that mindset and shifting out of these heavy, murky emotions, right, is choose the next best feeling. You don't have to go from feeling, you know, sad to complete happiness straight away. Choose the next best one, okay? You can't go from like one end of the spectrum to the other. Just choose the next one. It's like what I said, like soft step by soft step last week, right? Okay. So say if you are feeling a little bit of hopelessness, okay, or that little bit of despair, all right? What's the next best feeling from that? The next best feeling is probably like, I don't know, maybe this like numbness, okay, numbness to it all, which I know doesn't sound great, okay, but bear with me, okay? You go from feeling this despair, this hopelessness, to then just feeling a bit numb, okay? Then from feeling a bit numb, perhaps you're just feeling calm, okay, because the intensity of that despair, of that hopelessness has softened, has lessened, okay? So despair, numbness, calm. When we start to feel a bit more calm, maybe then we start to feel a bit more hopeful. Okay, then we maybe start to see that light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, then we start to feel more empowered. Maybe we start to then reach for things that make us feel a bit more hopeful, you know? So again, just choose the next best feeling. And the next best feeling, it might not always be super clear, and that's okay. Again, everything is okay here. Okay, my honeys, I think I'm going to wrap that up there. I hope this was a helpful energy? I hope this was a helpful episode all about raising your vibration. And yeah, maybe it helps just to shift mindset just a little bit. And whether you're feeling festive or funky this time of year, this podcast is here. All right, it's here for you to tune into at any moment. Maybe this episode is one to come back to time and time again. Maybe there's these little reminders in there. Maybe take some time to journal, take some time to reconnect with nature, take some time to actually reconnect with your people as well. Okay, this doesn't have to be a complete solo journey. Not to again go on another tangent here, but this is another thing I'm realizing. We can celebrate being on our own and doing things for ourselves until the end of our days, right? But having your people there is important, okay? And don't be afraid to lean on them. Don't be afraid to reach out to them. Don't be afraid to be really honest with them, because sometimes in that moment of honesty, it just sets things in motion for things to change. Yeah. And again, soft step by soft step. That is the theme of this season, all right, honeys? Okay. All right, thank you so much for listening, loves. Please take some time to rate and review, like and subscribe if you haven't already, either here on Spotify, wherever you're listening, on social media, Instagram, at butterflyeffect.pod, all the things. And I'm so grateful for you. Let's keep going. And then, yeah, let's see what season 3 brings, eh? All right, lovers, I shall see you next week. Lots of love. Mwah. All right, stunners, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast. I hope it has left you feeling suitably inspired. And as always, please don't forget to rate and review, like and subscribe, all those lovely things, as not only does this help the podcast grow, but it also helps us to reach more beautiful souls who need to hear these conversations. And of course, come hang out with me over on Instagram and TikTok at LaurenAmyYD, and follow the pod at butterflyeffect.pod. You can also dive deeper into yoga, meditations, poetry, and so much more with me over on Patreon. Until next time, keep living a soft life loudly, because you know you deserve it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Mwah!